Hi everyone, it's me again. I'm back with a new video by popular demand, which shows how to access the hard drive on this Toshiba laptop, model number E205-S1904. And you would think, well, why do you need to make a video to get to the hard drive? I mean, all laptops have little doors on the bottom that let you access the hard drive, and the memory for that matter. Don't they? Well, not this one. This laptop apparently has no little doors to access anything. Usually there's a little door right here which lets you get to the hard drive, and a little door right there to let you get to the memory, and maybe another door right here for a secondary drive. But this machine doesn't have that. So in order to get to it, the whole bottom has to be removed. Which is, it's tricky, but it's not the worst thing in the world. So, I will show you how to do that, step by step. Try not to mind the road noise, ladies and gentlemen. I live next to a busy street in town. Okay, so in order to get the machine apart, there's a few things I should show you. First of all, the screws aren't really apparent where they are, because they're covered with little rubber covers, which makes it somewhat more aesthetically appealing, but they need to be pried out. And they are actually shaped in a way where they're very specific as to how they go back. So, and also we have to take the keyboard out, and it's pretty involved just to get to the hard drive, but well, let's get started. Okay, first I'll take off the keyboard, and as most of you probably already know, to do that you have to take a little trim piece off right here. So I will carefully pry that up. In this one I find it's a little easier to take it up from the right. I guess it doesn't really matter, but that's how I've been doing it. So pull that up. There's no wires attached to it, so that can just come up very easily. Oops. So it's two screws that holds the keyboard down. Now for some people, if you take apart a laptop, you might want to get little cups and put each set of screws in there which show where they would go back to. But I'll just make little piles, which I think is the easiest for me. Okay, that comes up. Now for this keyboard, there are two ribbons. You'll see there are two. And one's the basic data cable that controls all the keyboard actions, and another one is for the illumination. So we will take that off, and by doing that, to do that, there's two little clips that you push down, which will unlock the ribbon. I find a little screwdriver helps with that, but you can use whatever implement works best for you. Just be very careful you don't break that ribbon. And they'll just slide right out. Put that aside. Okay, we've got a few screws here. We've got that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. Alright, well, so we'll take all those out. You can see there's your fan. This is a good time to take a look to see if you've got any dust in there. Once you get the bottom off, you'll probably want to blow that out if you haven't done so in a while. It never hurts to take the time to clean the dust out of the machine when you have it apart, because I can almost guarantee you'll notice better performance. So where am I putting those screws? I'll put those up there. Helps to have a magnetized screwdriver. I do. Makes removal of the screws in the little holes, especially in the back, a little easier. And when you're trying to put them back, it helps to be able just to put them on the end and put them right back in the hole. Alright, almost there. One silver screw, which you'll remember goes back there. And one black screw in this device here. Okay, so that's it for those screws there. Oh, there's something I want to show you. In the Toshiba user's manual, it tells you that the memory is accessible underneath the keyboard. And you will notice that on page 52 of the manual, I think it's the resource guide, I could be wrong, but in one of the larger manuals, I think it's a 229-page manual, on page 52 it tells you that to get to the memory, you remove the keyboard. That is false. That is absolutely false. You don't see the memory here, do you? Nope. You're going to have to access that from the bottom as well if you ever decide to do a memory upgrade or you need to diagnose your memory. So, Toshiba, shame on you. Okay, now for the bottom. I showed you those little rubber covers. And they're a little tricky to get off, and they're very size and shape specific. So when I take them off, I'm going to try and do so in a way that when I put them on the table, I'll try and put them in the same pattern that I took them off here, just so it's easier to put them back. Alright, I find a tiny screwdriver works best. I'll try this one first. Just be careful, you know, like everything else, take your time. Work your way underneath there. I notice the underside, and if you get a scratch, it ain't no big thing, but really, I try and take my time and be careful no matter what. I'll take that one out. You'll see this one has a kind of a shape where it's tilted on one end. And also, on this one, it has a little R. I don't know if you can see that. Well, I guess the camera doesn't want to see that. It's not focusing properly on it. Anyway, there's a little R on this pad for right. There's a little L on that pad for left. And on this little pad right here, which you'll have to take out to get to the screw, there's an M for middle. Clever, huh? Smart guys. I guess they figured there'd be people like me who'd want to take the thing apart and would have to know how to put it back together again. Another thing to remember, the left is not as big as the right. L could also stand for little. Alright, I'll put those over there. Now we've got another one. Oops. There's a little adhesive on the bottom so they don't come up right away. They won't pop out. This one here is kind of wedge shaped. Keep it there. So that one goes in the back like that, so that one goes over there. Alright, so that's that. And there are, whoops, one thing we forgot to take out. The wireless switch, which will turn the wireless on and off. This will have to come out because it's attached to something inside. Actually, I'm wrong. This is attached to the some circuitry on this board, so that switch will not have to be removed. That we can leave in place, which is good because I've taken too many of those things out and have broken them. They're very delicate little doodads. So we've got two more covers to take off to get at the screws. There's one there and one there in the hinge. So we'll take those out. And that goes in the back there. I don't know if you can see, I've got the little pads arrayed in a little grouping, just like the actual arrangement in the device itself. Okay, now that one's out. Okay, now there are more screws to take out than you can see here. There's screws underneath here, so this plastic device will have to be removed as well. And to do that, we will take some screws out first. We'll start with the back. To get at the bottom of some laptops, it's necessary to remove the screen unit, but that's not the case with this one, unfortunately. Those are out. Now this should be loose enough for us to remove. Let's see if we can get a little pry in here and pop that up. There we go. Okay. Just like any laptop, there's little clips and connectors which you have to be careful how you remove. And I find on this, it's easier to remove these pieces first, because these clips along this edge are a little meatier and will not come up quite as easily. So that comes up like that. Okay, so that's done. Put that off to the side. Okay, so there's not a lot of wires to remove in this to get the bottom off, but we will remove the one black wire here on your wireless card, because that wire extends across the outside of the case, and once we remove the top, this will be in the way, so we'll take that off. Put that to the side. So there's a grouping of 3 screws here which will need to be removed, and one of them is different from the other 2, so we'll try and keep that in mind when we take this apart. Different color. These 2 are the same size, I believe. And these are basically the same size. And yours may not be black, but someone had this machine apart once before, and when I opened this plastic trim piece up, that screw was missing. So I had to find a screw somewhere and replace it. So that will probably be a different color screw in your unit, don't worry. Okay, this one screw, the one all the way to the end here, is bigger than the other 2. So we'll keep that with those other 2 back hinge screws. Alright, then we've got those screws. Well, there's one there that's a 4th screw that's covered up by that bottom trim piece. We'll put that over there. And then we've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws that are covered by those rubber pads. We'll take those out. I know this is the boring part, watching all these screws come out, but what are you going to do? That's just part of the deal. And you can, of course, fast forward through this. That's the beauty of YouTube. Fast forward button. They're fairly small screws, considering that the others are pretty big. In fact, the ones I took out of the keyboard area might even be bigger. Okay, so it's a little loose. Just make sure I have all the... Oops! Oh, I almost forget that one screw. See, that's how easy it is to forget all these screws. There's so many. It's a good thing I didn't start pulling first. That one, let's see, that will go like that over there. That should be it on screws. And this will basically just lift up. Again, there's going to be little pops and clicks. Helps to have a little prying device. I hear a guitar pick works pretty well. I don't have a guitar pick. Just have to be careful to work it all around. screw. I did forget a screw. That one right there. No wonder it's not coming up easily. Alright, so that is part of the top side screws, so we will put those over there. One more check, make sure it's clear. We're good now. See how much easier it is? Now, once it's loose, don't just go ahead and pick up the lid, because it's going to be connected to the motherboard with some wire cables, which you'll have to carefully pull up before you can actually remove the entire cover. There we go. Alright, it's loose. It's not disconnected. There is, looks like a power board, or a power connector. So we'll carefully pry that out. You can see right there, this white one up near the battery area. So take that out. And also there's another one that you're going to have to carefully get at. And you could probably just pop it out with your fingernail, but that will only get one side. So I find it helps to have a little screwdriver to take that out. Try and careful, because these wires, these are very small wires, and you don't want to go ahead and break any of those, because my God, I can't imagine what would happen if that was the case. Okay, it's almost out. Just be careful, take your time. Okay, that's out. Then you have this wireless card connector, so that'll just go through a little hole. And then it's off. And there's what I mean about the Wi-Fi. Sometimes the Wi-Fi switch is connected to something on this side of the unit, not on this side. But apparently Toshiba, well in this case they got it right, and put a little circuit board for the Wi-Fi connectors here, so the little switch that you would have had to take out, which you would probably have broken taking it out, is still connected and is not necessary to remove. So put that all aside. There's your hard drive, finally. And of course, there's your RAM on the other side of the board, not on this side where Toshiba says it is. There. Also, while it's apart, it's a good idea to take a look at your fan. Is it clogged up, full of dust? This one's pretty good. And the vents, the cooling vents, they're fine, so I'm going to leave that alone. But if you do have to clean it out, then it looks like they are, what do we got? Let's take a closer look. If you want to take this apart to clean it out, it looks like you've got one more screw there. You've got this cable which would need to come out, and this black piece of tape which holds these wires in place. That would probably have to be lifted off in order to get the fan out, and that would be how you would take the fan out to clean it. This is already pretty loose, so once the fan is out you could probably just blow the dust out, and that should be fairly easy. Now to finish this off, we have the hard drive, which is held in with two more screws, and it's easily removable. One screw, and one on the motherboard itself. And then you just pull it out. And that's it. And in order to replace the actual hard drive, there's a metal case that you'd have to take it out of. I'm not going to show you how to do that. That's pretty simple to do. 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. And then that's it. That's your hard drive. And that's what it takes to get at this thing. So, let's put it back together. You may not need to watch this, of course, assembly is reverse of removal. But I will record that just for the hell of it. Alrighty. Just give it a quick dusting. Don't forget your wire up through the hole. Good. Snap it back into place. Oh, no. Already making mistakes. Forgot that wire. See, I'm making mistakes, so you don't have to. Okay. And put that connector back in place. I'm sure some of you are out there thinking, oh my God, what is he using that tool to do that job for? My God, is he crazy? Yeah, you're probably right. Alright, that's connected. Put that connector back. Alright, now we can snap it all back together. I've worked on a few laptops before where you really had a lot of snapping to do. They just wouldn't go back together right. This one is not all that bad. It's goes together pretty quickly. Okay. I'll reconnect the wireless cable. Oops, thought I had it. Alright, you can hear it pop back on. You'll feel it. Alright. Put our screws back. That's a black one. Oh, we know where that one goes. That's one of those screws I forgot earlier. That little spot right there in the middle. Okay, now for those 3 screws that go underneath the cover. There's that oddball silver one. Put that in there. There's that one big screw, and that goes on the outermost of the trio. you'll know if you put the big screw in a little hole, it will actually cause this piece to lift and expand away from the other half, and you'll see right away if it's not the right screw. Nice screw here. Okay, now for the cover. And again, you see here the tabs are fairly large in comparison to the side tabs, so we will put that on that way first. Close it down like a door. Alright. Put in those two back screws while we're here. And there's a little piece here. It's kind of loose when the screw isn't in there. So when I put these back hinge screws on, I'll just pinch it a little bit, give it a nice tight fit. Okay, that is it for all the bottom screws. Let's take a quick look. And right now we can put the little rubber covers on. I'm not going to show you how to do that. You can figure that out. Alright, all these top side screws. Some of these may not have had to have come out. I don't know which ones could have stayed, but I wasn't going to take a chance and find out which ones were screws that you could have left in place. So I just took out all these screws. Apparently it just makes things a little easier. Alright, now for the keyboard. Now the ribbons are a little tricky to put in there. So I find that it's easiest to use the tweezer on the little one. Get the big one in there first. Make sure your little latch here is open. That'll make it a little easier for you. And that slides right in. That's big enough to just close with your fingernail. And that little black part, the black part of the latch, will seat firmly against this white part of the connector. And you'll know that way that it's fully in the closed position. This one helps to have some tweezers. Just trying to put it in there by hand is just a little too difficult. Okay, I also use the tweezers to clamp the latch down against the connector. Alright, that's done. And two more screws. Alright, that's it on the screws. And then there's this little trim piece. Now on the trim piece, the front, well, you'll notice a little power indicator light. That's on that side, of course, where that little circuitry is. But the connecting tabs on the front of it are longer than the back. So I find that it helps to put this thing in front first, kind of on a tilt, towards you, and then kind of roll it back and snap it in that way. So you've got a little bit of a twist on it. Just sort of work it in with your finger all the way down. It's in. And I've got the rubber connectors, but I'll deal with that later. Let's just fire it up. Oh, battery. Gonna need that. We've got a pulse. Alright. As you can see, it takes a little time. There's a lot of screws to remove. But that's how you get inside to this thing and get the hard drive, and the memory for that matter. So, good luck, and enjoy.